I'm your host, Jordan Jenga, and you're watching The Auto Show.
Each show will talk about what's new in the industry and what's going on in the local automotive landscape. We'll have interviews with area dealers, experts, and bring you presentations and reviews on some of the latest cars, trucks, and SUVs. Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. This week, as usual, we're going to start out with some automotive news. First up is Hyundai's new 2024 Elantra N. Now you may be familiar with the Elantra, but this is the N model, which is the high-performance variant of the regular Elantra, and it now has an entirely new look, and I quite like it. The Elantra N has a 2-liter turbocharged engine with 276 horsepower, and this is the performance variant of Hyundai's very popular sedan. The new design has a neat-looking, slimmer headlight shape and revised grille and front fascia. I'm hoping they continue to offer the 6-speed manual transmission, but it can also be optioned with a 7-speed dual clutch. If you haven't had a chance to take one of these for a ride, definitely check it out, as it will completely change your mind of how much car you can get for $35,000. And of course, these can be had at Hyundai of Newport on West Main Road in Middletown. Next up is Mercedes 2024 E-Class. The latest generation of E-Class offers a triple screen setup, a selfie camera, and standard hybrid trims for the E350 and 450 models. The E350 still comes with a turbocharged 4-cylinder, and the 450 still has its turbocharged inline 6-cylinder engine, and both are paired to a 23 horsepower electric motor. All E-Classes now are standard all-wheel drive, and both powertrains have Mercedes' familiar 9-speed automatic transmission. Unlike Mercedes' full EV vehicles, the E-Class still remains a classic sedan shape. The interior, however, is really where the car has taken it a step up. It comes standard with 2 displays and has an optional 3rd display in front of the passenger. And of course, this being a modern Mercedes-Benz, it has plenty of ambient lighting, which I love, has lots of leather, and a kicking Burmeister sound system. Expect the new E-Class to be on sale sometime near the end of 2023, where they should start around $60,000. And if you're going to get one, make sure to get it from BD Mercedes-Benz in Tiverton. Big news in Toyota land, Toyota has finally redesigned their loved Toyota Tacoma. The new Tacoma will be revealed on May 19th, and as with the last generation of Tacoma, it will be offered in an extended cab, a crew cab, with both short and long wheelbases. If you're trying to get into one of these new Tacomas, or you have some questions when they come out, get yourself over to Toyota of Dartmouth. In keeping in the small truck segment, Ford is also releasing a new version of their 2024 Ford Ranger. And now with the 24 Ford Ranger, you can get the Ranger Raptor, which will offer Ford's 405 horsepower twin-turbo 3-liter V6, similar to the one you get in the Bronco Raptor. All new Rangers will currently come as 4-door crew cabs with a 5-foot bed. The new Ford Ranger rides on Ford's T6 platform that the full-size Bronco is also based on. The base Ranger will come as an entry-level XL with a 2.3-liter, 270 horsepower turbocharged 4-cylinder, and will also offer an XLT and Lariat trim with a 2.7-liter V6 with 315 horsepower and an impressive 400 pound-feet of torque. All Rangers will have Ford's 10-speed automatic transmission, and when properly equipped, the truck will be able to tow 7,500 pounds. On a personal note, I think the front end of the new Ranger is a vast improvement over the current Ranger, and I think it looks really tough. If one of these new Rangers is in your future, get over to Tasca Ford in Cranston. Last but certainly not least, something very exciting from Porsche. They have announced they will do a 718 Spyder RS, the most aggressive Boxster they have ever produced, and a car we've all kind of been asking for a long time. It'll have the 4-liter straight-six right out of the 911 GT3, as well as the Cayman GT4 RS. And in this trim, it will produce 493 horsepower and 331 pound-feet of torque. This is the first time this engine's been offered in a vehicle without a roof, and if you've heard any of these GT3 variants or Cayman variants with this engine, you know they are screamers. I literally can't wait to hear what they sound like with the top down. To refresh your memory, the 4-liter straight-six revs to 9,000 RPM, and in the 718, it will only come with Porsche's fantastic PDK automatic transmission and will have shortened gear ratios to improve acceleration. Porsche also claims 0 to 60 in 3.2 seconds, but as always, they are conservative with these claims, so I guess it'll be even faster than that if you can believe it. If hearing this engine with an open top tickles your fancy, make sure to inquire about this vehicle at Porsche of Westwood. And that concludes the news. On to more car stuff. All right, everybody, we're back with my man Maurice from Kia of Attleboro, and today we are going to be talking about the 2023 Kia Sorento Hybrid. Maurice, welcome back, buddy.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. Always exciting.
Of course, dude. So let's talk about the Sorento Hybrid. You and I had talked about it last week about what we wanted to put on the show, and this is definitely a big seller for you guys. But tell us a little about the Sorento story, because this isn't the first one Kia's had out.
So the Sorento has been one of our bread and butter vehicles, for lack of a better term, for a number of years. It's on numerous generations. In 2021, it came out with the full body redesign. Obviously, 2022, we have the new logo. It's still standard with the third row, but exciting for 22, as well as carrying over into 23 and very soon 24, is the option to be able to get a hybrid powertrain. So before It was just 4-cylinder gas, 6-cylinder gas. They eliminated the 6-cylinder engine. We now have the 4-cylinder engine available with the turbo, with the non-turbo. And then if you want a hybrid, you can go hybrid or plug-in hybrid. So a lot of exciting new trim levels. It puts us right in the conversation for top luxury SUVs with hybrid options.
Yeah, and I know Motor Trend, this has been a vehicle they've liked a lot in the past. I didn't know it actually came with the third row. Now, we had talked about the Telluride before, and this vehicle is a little bit smaller than the Telluride, correct?
Correct. So one step down in size from the Telluride, but you're not lacking any safety or any luxury, especially when you go all the way up the trim level line to the SX. And then when you talk about the Prestige, it just blows you away with luxury options.
Absolutely. I like the new redesign, especially with the new Kia logo. Are they LED headlights and taillights?
They are LED headlights and taillights.
Nice, of course. And we've got some fog lights down here. I like the design, obviously, for an SUV. It looks fairly aerodynamic. We're talking about powertrains. What do we have for horsepower and torque?
So if you go with the straight hybrid, it's 227 horsepower with a whopping 258 pounds of torque.
Sure.
That carries over to the plug-in hybrid, which also has the same 258 pounds of torque, but with 262 horsepower.
Wow, and you said, we were talking off camera, that has about 30 miles of electric-only range, the plug-in hybrid?
Between 30 and 33, let's call it 32 to be a little conservative, and that's all electric. The cool thing about, one of the cool things, on the non-plug-in, 655 mile range when you're fully charged, when you have a full tank of gas.
That's like diesel pickup truck territory with those huge tanks, but it's not going to kill you at the gas pump.
Absolutely.
And what is just the regular non-plug-in hybrid, the hybrid one that actually you drove here today, what does that get for mileage?
You're at about 34 mpg.
Very nice.
Which is good for a third row SUV.
That's very nice. So let's talk a little bit about the interior. And you were saying that the captain's chairs for the second row are new for 2022 into 23?
Well, as in 2021. So Kia does a great job listening to their customer base. And the captain's chairs were so highly sought after in the Telluride, they carried it over into the Sorento. And in 2021, they were introduced, and now they're available on all trim levels of the hybrid and the plug-in hybrid.
Right. Back when you and I were younger and everybody had a minivan, it was always nice to have the captain's chair so you could run in and out, get in the third row and things.
That's exactly how parents are thinking, whether you're parents of pets or with real kids running back and forth. It just makes the ease of access to the third row that much better.
Yeah, and I see we've got some vents back here for the passengers, a couple of cup holders, some handholds. Nice stereo system, and it looks like there's a lot of leg room in there.
There is, and there's USBs everywhere, which is really cool. I always point that out to my customers. Everything from the inlets on the doors to give you a couple more inches of elbow room, leg room is of aplenty. Kia just does a great job with the design. I can't tell you enough how many times people get into our vehicles and say, I can't believe this is a Kia.
I'm not surprised at all. I mean, their design language and quality, I mean, they already started as a pretty great company and everybody known about them, but over the past 4 or 5 years, I've really noticed it's really taken a
so many times people say, well, they look good now too. Like before they were building the reputation on the safety, on the reliability, the warranty. Obviously, the best warranty in America always helps. But at one point, they just weren't the most attractive vehicles on the road.
Yeah, back in the
now
day.
They can take that title. People are like, wow, look at the new Kia.
Of course, when you see them on the road, they have a very unique set of headlights and taillights. And I'm always in the car either with parents or friends, and they'll say, because we're car people, and they'll go, oh, what's that? Have you heard of this? I'm like, that's a Kia.
That's
They're
a
like,
Kia.
No. I'm like, yes, it is. Now, Maurice, while I steer the TV here, tell us a little bit about our safety features. Of course, it comes with a myriad of safety safety features as all the Kia products do, right?
It does come standard with a whole host of Kia DriveWise safety features. When you go to the top trim level, the SX Prestige, you get the highly sought after blind spot view monitor, which is so cool.
It actually shows you in the display what's next to you?
Yeah,
Oh,
so the best way I like to describe it is when you put on your right turn signal, you get to see what's on the right-hand side of the vehicle. When you put on your left turn signal, you get to see what's on the left-hand side of the vehicle. It's a very nice safety feature. People get spoiled once they have it. They don't want to drive a vehicle without it.
Yep, and the nice thing is you don't have to stare at it. You can just glance down and see if there's something there, which keeps your eyes kind of on the road, right?
Keeps your eyes on the road. And then the other safety features that are standard are the forward collision. It's not just forward collision alert, it's an avoidance assist, so if it detects anything from a car or a pedestrian or even a cyclist, it will help you with the brakes.
Oh, that's great, especially, I don't want to say anything about cyclists, but we know some people don't pay attention when they're driving on the road, and this is a good feature for that.
Absolutely, absolutely.
This is, okay, so I was just driving literally a vehicle, which I won't mention, with a $103,000 price tag, and it had this similar camera system in it. Tell us a little bit about this, because I think this is great, especially if you have kids, pets, parking lots. It's the 360 camera.
So it's a combination of 4 exterior mounted cameras that gives you a complete 360 view of the vehicle when you're parking, reverse, forward, in any type of situation. You can turn it on to see what's around the vehicle before you park, before you exit, and so forth. It's great for kids, it's great for toddlers with, you know, toys and stuff laying around, for pets or any type of situation. It's just going to make it that much more safe with that type of visibility.
And it still gives you the beep beep beeps?
Lots of beeps.
That's the professional way of describing it, right?
Yes.
And then we have the navigation-based smart cruise control, which I think is really neat too. This isn't, it's not a $200,000 vehicle yet. It comes with all this safety equipment, which is really impressive.
Some of these features, once again, I hear it all of the time. People will say, I only see that in X brand. I only see that in Y brand.
Or they come from something a little higher up that doesn't have those things.
Correct. Or they had to go way up the price tag line to get those features where they're standard in our luxury trim levels.
Of course.
And things like the navigation-based smart cruise control not only keeps you in the lane, even when the lane is curving, it will keep you a safe distance from the car in front of you as well, and works with the navigation to detect turns ahead.
And it slows down a little bit, so you don't have the cruise on 75 and you go through the S turns in Pawtucket, for those of you in Rhode Island, it's just ripping through.
It slows you down automatically.
Yeah, that's great. Back to the interior, Maurice. Obviously this has a super modern design. I really like the cool air vents.
We get a lot of positive feedback on the air vents, believe it or not. Obviously, it has the unique gear shifter because it is a hybrid.
Yep.
Very, very fun to drive vehicle. I drove one down here today. Comfortable, safe. That's what screams out at you when you're driving it.
And with the addition of the electric motor, if anybody's driven a hybrid vehicle, just on tip-in on throttle before it's shifting gears, before you're doing anything, there's that immediacy of torque, which I think is really nice.
It's very nice.
Yeah.
You're never in a situation where you're feeling like the vehicle lacks power.
Exactly. And yeah, like I said, I like the vents. Obviously, we have a dual digital display here, the rotary shifter. Do we also have select drive modes?
Yes, so they're all available with all-wheel drive, and us being up here in New England, it's obviously the most popular.
They're pretty much all-wheel drive, right?
Correct, yeah. So full-time all-wheel drive with the option to put it into eco mode, sport mode. You can lock the all-wheel drive and couple that with the snow mode in any type of bad conditions, not just snow. Maybe you're driving on gravel or beach sand.
Sure, or going camping and you're going over some rutted terrain or it's a little muddy from the night before.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's super useful. Ask me how I know, getting stuck with four-wheel drive with open differentials. Oops. But yeah, I think it's a really smart design. I think it's upscale. I like the leather-wrapped steering wheel. We got all our steering wheel mounted controls on here. I just really like the design. I like that, of course, we always talk about buttons. It has actual buttons for things.
Correct.
So you're not taking your eyes off the road trying to get on the screen.
You're not trying to dial through 17 options just to change the radio station.
Looking at you, luxury brands. I really do think it's really neat looking interior. lastly, let's look at, is this the SX trim or the Prestige?
This is an SX Prestige trim with, I just think this is absolutely gorgeous.
Navy?
It's navy.
Yeah.
And it's not Kia's real terminology, but the navy blue with the cream, they actually call it light gray.
Oh, yeah,
I
right
call it
here.
cream. It's that light. It's just such a gorgeous setup. And the seats are dark, so if you have kids, you can still go after this trim level. And it just gives it such a luxury feel. I mean, these are color combinations that you would find in something like a British or German luxury brand.
I was going to go Volvo XC90.
Yes.
Especially with the shape of the wheel and the lighter interior colors, a little bit Scandinavian. I think it's even the vents look, I know I keep talking about the vents, but they even look cooler at this angle.
They do. They look very cool, and we just keep getting positive feedback and winning awards on the design.
Yeah. Maurice, thanks as always for coming down and showing us the new Kia products. Tell us where we can get them.
You can shop us online anytime at KiaOf and come check us out. We're right on Newport Avenue over the Rhode Island border in South Attleboro, Massachusetts. Ask for Maurice.
Absolutely. Thanks, buddy.
Thank you for having me. Awesome time.
Thanks, bro. See you next month.
See you next month.
It's Jeep season and Ram season at Elmwood Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. Lease a 23 Jeep Wrangler 4xe Willys for $349 a month. Or lease a 23 Jeep Grand Cherokee Laredo for $389 a month. Plus, we have 23 Ram 1500 Bighorn leases for only $389 a month. Elmwood Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. Route 44 in East Providence. Or online at elmwoodcdjr.com.
New Kias are hard to find right now, but not at Kia of Attleboro. We have over 40 2023 Kia Niro hybrids available, and for this month only, you can get the new Niro hybrid for MSRP. And only here will you get double the factory warranty, double the trade-in value, and quick and convenient service. Exit 2B off 95 in South Attleboro, Mass. KiaOfAttleboro.com.
See ya at Kia of Attleboro.
It's our 1-year anniversary here at Kia of Groton, and to celebrate, we're offering specials all month long.
Lease a 2024 Kia Seltos LX all-wheel drive for $249 a month, or buy any 2023 Kia Niro for MSRP.
We're offering all military an extra $500 off. Get double the factory warranty, double the trade-in value, and quick and convenient service. 421 Route 12 in Groton or online at KiaofGroton.com. You'll be glad you did.
Ocean has 2 convenient locations, Ocean Newport and Ocean Westerly Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. This month during Jeep season, save 13% off 2023 Jeep Compass MSRPs. And during Ram season, save 13% off 2023 Ram 1500 MSRPs. Visit the store closest to you for these limited time specials, or visit us online at newportjeep.com or westerlyjeep.com.
It's time to talk about the Jeep Gladiator. Now on the show we've talked about many Jeep models, and we've talked about the Wagoneer, we've talked about the Wrangler, but we haven't talked about the Gladiator. And I don't know if you've noticed this, but there are a lot of them on the road, and there's a reason for that. The new Gladiator is a version of the Jeep Wrangler, obviously, and it's on a stretched wheelbase and also has a pickup bed, but also gives you the off-road ability and the Jeep feel of a Wrangler. So both utility and off-road friendliness. Now, there are so many aftermarket accessories that you can get on these, and so many accessories from Jeep themselves. So let's give a little look at the Jeep Gladiator. Now this one we're looking at right here is the Rubicon. Also, how great is the name Gladiator? What are you driving? I'm driving the Gladiator. It's pretty cool. So if we look down here, 7,700 pounds of towing capacity, 1,700 pounds of payload, 442 foot-pounds of torque you can get with the diesel engine in these, which is fantastic. I've driven it. Smooth, quiet, and very good on fuel. And it has best-in-class available ground clearance. Now, one of the great things about the Gladiator is it's a do-everything vehicle. If you have an active lifestyle, this is something that you might want to consider. It does kind of almost triple duty. It's a daily driver. It can be very fuel efficient, especially with that diesel engine. You have your pickup bed, it tows anything, and it pretty much goes anywhere with Jeep's obviously awesome four-wheel drive system. And I think they look really neat, cool. So if we take a little look at this, I mean, we have ATVs, we can put motorcycles in the back, it can tow a boat, a small RV. It has available spray and bed liner. Always go for the available spray and bed liner. If you've had a pickup truck before, you know why. Obviously, you don't want to be scratching up that beautiful new bed. Available in-bed power outlet. It's got tie downs, tonneau covers. You have the backup camera, which helps you hitch up to your trailer. Like I said, it pretty much does it all. And if you haven't driven one, the doors come off, which is really cool, off-road use only. And the top goes back, so it does everything a Wrangler does as well. So I think it's a great vehicle for kind of like if you needed just a one vehicle to do it all, and you just are a very active person, you need to tow, you need to get off-road, or if you don't care about any of those things and you just think it looks cool, I think it's a great vehicle. Let's talk about capability. Now, of course, Wrangler products, the Gladiator being one of them, one of the big things they say is you can kind of go anywhere. They're trail rated. Water fording ability of 31.5 inches. To give you an idea, that's almost as tall as that tire that you can just drive through water, and it's designed to do that no problem, which I think is really impressive. If you've driven one, they have a very tight turning radius, which is super useful, not only off-road on trails, but if just turning around in a parking lot or pulling a Yui. I've driven a lot of Jeep products, and one thing they pride themselves on is their off-road ability, like I've been mentioning. And that really helps because it has a live front axle, which allows really extreme articulation off-road, which makes sure that your tires are in contact with the ground so you have traction at all times. Now, when you get into the upper trim levels, such as this Rubicon we have featured here, you can get electronic locking differentials, front and rear, a sway bar disconnect, which allows more articulation to drop that one wheel to get a little more traction. You have a rock track transfer case, and on the Rubicon it has these rock rails, which are great for protecting the vehicle off-road. Now, those of us who remember Wranglers of old, thinking of like the CJ5, CJ7, YJs, TJs, they were a bit Spartan, but not so with the new Wranglers and new technology. They come with this Uconnect system, which obviously has Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and gives you all your media, climate control, navigation, phone, and everything you might need in a modern vehicle, which is great. One feature that I really like is it has this vehicle finder. Now, you can do this on your phone with dropping pins and things, but if you're like me, I'm usually in a rush, and now they say you can find your Gladiator if it's parked on one of the trails, and it'll give you directions to it. For me, it's parking garages. A lot of times I'm in a hurry, I don't know where my car is, or sometimes I don't remember where I parked it. So this would be an extremely useful feature, so I can just look at my phone and go, it's on King Street, knew it. Now, lastly, one of the things I'd like to mention is the fact that the Gladiator comes with a myriad of engines that will fit any type of driving you're doing. So you can get it with a 2-liter turbo. You can get it with the Pentastar V6. You can get it with a diesel engine with lots of torque, and it has fantastic fuel economy. Or you can get it in a 4xe, which is a plug-in hybrid, which allows you to do some of your trail or even in-town driving on pure electric power only. Did I mention that the windscreen also folds down? If you want to be cool, like these people here, or you think that this might fit your lifestyle, or you just want to take one for a test drive, you definitely have to get over to Elmwood Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, Ram in East Providence, and they will sort you out with whatever kind of Gladiator you'd like.
Big banks sure do love technology, but not always for the right reasons. We love technology too, but we use it to make your life easier, not ours. Which is why we have Big Bank Tech without the big bank. It's what happens when your customers are your owners, and your owners are your customers. Navigate Credit Union.
Welcome. Can I help you find anything?
Yes, we're looking for something spacious. Comfortable.
With the latest technology.
I think I've got just what you're looking for. Follow me. Welcome to the newly redesigned Toyota of Dartmouth. This puppy was made for you.
The new Toyota of Dartmouth. It's just what you've been looking for.
Please don't do that.
Hello everybody and welcome to the 2023 Lincoln Navigator Reserve. We're going to go over a few features on this vehicle and I'm going to walk you through it. So, let's start off with the important stuff. Obviously everybody knows the Lincoln Navigator. It's been around forever and kind of started the whole luxury SUV craze along with the Cadillac Escalade. However, there are a few differences in this Navigator that I think differentiate it from a lot of the other SUVs out there. Let's go over them. Now don't let your eyes deceive you. I might be 5'7", but this is a fairly large vehicle. But when we take it for a drive later, I'm going to show you how easy it is to drive and maneuver. So let's start out with the important things, under the hood. So under the hood of the 2023 Navigator, we have Ford's venerable 3.5-liter twin turbocharged V6, similar to the one you get in the Ranger Raptor and any of your Ford F-150s. However, in this Lincoln, it makes 440 horsepower and a large 510 pound-feet of torque. And all of these 3.5-liter twin turbos are hooked up to Ford's 10-speed automatic transmission, and it even has paddle shifters. Let's talk about the exterior design for a minute. Lincoln has somehow managed with a vehicle of this size to still make it very handsome. There are some other vehicles out there that can look a little blocky. Of course, LED headlights we have here. We have our fog lights integrated down here, turn signals, a beautiful grille. If we move around to the side here, we have the Navigator rolling on these beautiful 22-inch wheels with a 285/45 22-inch tire. One thing I really like about the Lincoln SUVs is they're very distinctive. You have a beautiful LED tail light here, and of course you have your backup camera. Now, being a Navigator, it comes with all of the options. So first off, we have our power opening rear tailgate. And if you look at the key here, obviously we have lock unlock, we have remote start, and we have the tailgate. Let's talk about some of the features that make this Navigator so easy to use. For one, we have this power tailgate. Not only is it power, but we have a button here that you can actually set the height of how high you want this to go up so it doesn't hit your garage or a tree, or you're camping, you don't want it to hit your tent. And we go in here, plenty of space. Now the Navigator also comes in a long wheelbase version, this being the shorter wheelbase, but it still has plenty of room in the back. Also, one neat feature that I like is that these seats fold down. One thing I really like about the Navigator, and I know this comes on a lot of vehicles, but I think these power side skirts are very nicely integrated into the vehicle. And for somebody who's a little vertically challenged like myself, it's a welcomed addition to the vehicle, especially to get in and out of, so I don't look silly. Now, we talked about the outside of the Navigator, but where I think the Navigator really shines is on the interior. This feels expensive and well put together. We have a leather dash with nice stitching across here. One thing that Lincoln does that I think is pretty neat that I haven't seen in a lot of other vehicles, usually there's all huge screens across, and I know that's for some people, but it's not really for me. I like the fact that we've got some wood veneer up here. We have a nice, beautiful, slick, and easy to read digital display with the speedometer and all of our miles per gallon and everything. And a really nice center console. Now, I've used Ford Sync products in the past, but Lincoln has done a really nice job of making this look really premium and especially easy to use so you don't have to take your eyes off the road. So starting over here, we have kind of looking like kind of Mercedes does. We have our seat controls, and this has available 30-way adjustable seats. And I don't know if you saw what I did just there, but I'm adjusting not only just the back, but the bottom part as well. You can adjust these individually, which I think is pretty neat. And sometimes I have a hard time getting myself comfortable in a vehicle, but not this one. We of course have 3 settings for memory for the seats. And you can individually raise and lower your thigh bolsters down here, which I think is really cool. Not only are they 30-way adjustable, we also have a massaging feature, and it has different settings for massage, whether you want circular, relax, recovery, rolling, or pulse, which is great on a long drive or just whenever you want. The Navigator comes standard with a 14-speaker stereo, but can be optioned with a 28 speaker sound system with a subwoofer, which I think is really neat. And they have a 3D sound, they have it tuned for the car itself, so anywhere you sit in the vehicle you get fantastic sound. I've experienced it, it's excellent. It passes the Jordo test. Moving towards the steering wheel, like I mentioned earlier, we have our paddle shifters for our 10-speed automatic transmission. They're very responsive, surprisingly so for an SUV of this size. The steering is really nice. Now, a lot of the electric power steering, I feel like it's too light, but this is very nicely weighted, and it really disguises, I wouldn't say it disguises the weight of the vehicle on the road, but it disguises the fact that it's a large SUV, giving it a little bit more of a car-like drive, which is nice, especially around town or on long trips. On the steering wheel here, we have volume controls and controls for our screens. We also have cruise control for our adaptive cruise and our heads-up display. One thing I really like about the Navigator is, of course, if you're buying a vehicle of this size, generally you need storage, whether you, like I said, if you have kids or just a lot of things. This has a floating center console. If we look down here, underneath there's so much storage. You could fit a purse, a bag, a computer bag. We have wireless charging in the center, and with all new vehicles, of course, so many areas to charge. Look at this cavernous area down here. Now you could fit a small cooler in there. There's a 12-volt outlet, another 12-volt outlet, a USB, and a USB-C. One thing I really like in general, especially for a vehicle of this size, is if you're renting it or buying it or you're leasing it or just using it in regular day use, a lot of times you'll take it on a road trip or you have a lot of things. So in the door there are 2 cup holders. There's a huge space to store things. There's 2 cup holders in the center. If you're not charging your phone, there's more storage here. There's storage under the center console. And when I show you how much storage there is in the back, you're going to be very surprised. One thing to note is that the Navigator, when properly optioned, can pull up to 8,700 pounds, which is a sizable boat or camper. And if we go in here under features, we're going to towing. There are plenty of things to help you tow your trailer more safely and a lot more easily. So of course you have your backup camera. You can add your own trailer to this. We have tow haul mode, trailer sway control, extremely important, especially on windy days or with a longer trailer, depending on how the trailer's weighted. And you have a trailer connection notification to let you know to make sure the trailer's connected. Also in here, if we go to driver assistance, this vehicle has a myriad of driver assistance things, especially with the size of the vehicle. So we have our cruise control, lane keep assist, pre-collision alert that has braking and some steering. We have rear view camera delay, we can put that on or off, and we have our blind spot information system. Because this one has 4-wheel drive, we have hill descent control, which we can turn on and off, cross traffic alert, and even a reverse brake assist, which is not something I've seen in a lot of vehicles. One thing to note is when I'm telling you all of these things in the screen, you can either turn those things on or off. So if you have the blind spot on and you have somebody driving next to you and it's beeping all the time, or if you just don't want any of those things, you can turn them on and off as well. Now I haven't mentioned the shifter. If you look up here, there's no column shift, there's no rotary dial. As a matter of fact, it's a very convenient push button right here on the dash. The back seat of the Lincoln Navigator. Now I don't do a lot of back seat reviews, but this one is going to be needed. There are so many cool things to go over back here. If you're a passenger in the Navigator, which a lot of people might be, you have a beautiful panoramic sunroof, which you can control the shade on, which is pretty neat from the back seat. I'm sitting behind myself. Like I said, I'm only 5'7", but I don't know if you can see, I have literally more than a foot of leg room back here. Another thing that I mentioned up front that is also in the back, plenty of things to charge. We have a 12-volt, a USB, a USB-C, and even 110 volts back here, if I can open it properly. Easy for me to do. Also lots of space behind the seats. We have this the fancy stereo that we spoke about earlier. And check out this little console. We can turn on massaging seats in the back seat, which I think is pretty cool. Not only do these seats have massage features, but you have perforated leather, which gives you heating and cooling, which is great. And also if you go in here, you can adjust your climate back here independently of the front and adjust all of the audio controls, which I think is really cool, especially for a rear seat passenger. Here we are in the 3rd row of the Lincoln Navigator, and if you can believe it, I also have a lot of room back here. Let's flip this seat up that I was sitting in earlier. I still have legroom, and this is not even the extended length wheelbase. You also have plenty of charging back here. We have 2 USB-C ports. We have plenty of storage for snacks and cup holders and all kinds of things. And one thing I'd like to point out, both the second row and third row have vents right here for heat and AC, which I think is completely forgotten about in a lot of cars, especially when you're in the front seat. If you're in the summertime and you're pressing all the AC in the front trying to get it to the back passengers, it's great that this has so many vents back here to keep the rear passengers comfy. And I've got to say, I really wouldn't mind doing a long trip back here. The third row is usually completely forgotten about and really flat and hard, but this third row is very comfortable, beautiful leather seats, and I wouldn't mind doing a couple 100 miles back here. All right, here we are driving the Navigator. I have a nice head-up display. It tells me miles per hour and how much distance we have to empty, the temperature outside, and of course the time. I've got to say, it really disguises itself. It's definitely a big vehicle, but it does a nice job with the camera systems and everything of really making it convenient either to park in a parking lot, back up, especially if you're backing out of your driveway and you have kids and a couple other things to worry about, bicycles. The rear view camera and the 360 surround view camera do a super nice job. They're really high resolution, and it's definitely a safety factor, especially if you have children or small pets. I've got to say, I've driven a lot of vehicles. This power steering system is perfectly weighted, at least in my opinion. So, like I mentioned earlier, so many of them are so lightweight that you really have no feel or idea what the front tires are doing, even at low speed. And I really like how this feels. The way that Lincoln has programmed how the accelerator interacts with the engine and how the brake pedal interacts with the driver and such makes it so driving this vehicle, even at low speeds, makes it very smooth. So you're not herky-jerky. I don't know if you remember driving, BMWs from the 90s and early 2000s, but I remember the first time I just touched the brakes in that, I almost went through the front windshield. Now these brakes are extremely powerful, but they're also very progressive, so it makes for a nice ease of driving, especially in low speed areas. Check out that Bronco Raptor in the background there, pretty neat. Now something I really like about Ford's twin-turbo V6 is, of course, everybody loves a V8, sure. But when you have twin turbos, especially twin as opposed to single, you have so much low-down grunt. So the car's not constantly shifting around those 10 speeds to find you a gear in which you have power, as you might get in a naturally aspirated V8 vehicle. I'm not going to mention any competitors, wink. But when you're getting on the highway or just around town and you need to scoot, it always seems to be in the right gear because there's so much torque over a broad RPM range, which makes it really nice to drive, and you're never kind of stuck in the wrong gear waiting for the transmission or anything. Now here we are, I'm in a tight spot, I'm backing up, and if we want to look down here, you can see it's got a huge display that gives you the rear view camera and a 360 to show me anything around me. So it really does make piloting this Navigator really simple and easy, even if you're just driving it for the first time like I am today. And at around $100,000, I've driven a lot of SUVs, and I've got to say I hadn't had a chance to drive the new Navigator, and I'm really impressed. It feels premium, it's quiet, it's well put together, and I've got to say, even though the seats are 30-way adjustable, they massage you, and that's all great, just driving normally, these seats are super comfortable. They feel like you're just sitting in nothing. I don't know if I've driven another SUV that has seats this comfortable. And if you're doing long distances or you're just in the car a lot, that's really important. Now, if you guys are watching this and you're thinking to yourself, my goodness, that Navigator seems like a really great vehicle. You're going to definitely want to come down here to Tasca and Cranston at 1300 Pontiac Ave in Rhode Island and take one for a test drive. I've driven a lot of cars and I think everything's pretty cool, but I've got to say I'm really impressed with the Navigator. I hadn't really thought about it in a while, and I think there's a lot of reasons to think about it. So get down to Tasca and check one out.
Check out the stylish lines.
Very nice.
Spacious interior.
This is amazing technology.
Right? And how about all this seating?
Introducing the newly redesigned Toyota of Dartmouth. Take us for a test drive today.
Think maybe we could drive outside now?
Yeah. Let's grab a cup of coffee first. Pull up over there.
We're
working for our customers to help them beat inflation. We offer higher trade-in values and will always give you the lowest price possible. The Buyer's Benefits Package with a lifetime powertrain warranty, Brantford and Middlebury, or online at buyatpremier.com. Premier Subaru, transparent pricing, exceptional service.
Premium is New England's destination for exceptional Highline pre-owned automobiles. Our collection is hand-picked by New England's top automobile experts. With over 100 years of overall experience working with the world's finest brands, we find the best examples of well-maintained, low-mileage, luxury, and exotic vehicles for our inventory. Just go to PriorityPremium.com where you'll see our current selection. Stop dreaming, start driving. Priority Premium.
Hello viewers and welcome on a very special, wonderful May Day here in Newport, Rhode Island. We're in a 2016 Bentley Continental GTC, the C being, of course, the convertible. And I'm able to do this video with the top down because, as I found out, even with the top down, this Bentley is nearly silent. I haven't experienced that in any other convertible car, and I've driven a few. Like I said, it's a beautiful day here, and I've had the Bentley for a little while, and I have some thoughts. It is the most effortless car to drive, and let me tell you one thing. Now, this is a very heavy car, and I figured it would be a little floaty, you know, Bentley, handles, okay, blah, 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 this, that, the other. This car has super sharp steering, which I did not expect. I mean, the turn-in is excellent. That might also be helped by the 4-liter twin-turbo V8 in the front of this. This is not the W12. However, almost identical 0 to 60 as the 12-cylinder. As a matter of fact, when I got in it, I couldn't tell which one it was because the exhaust is fairly silent unless you give it a boot. And the difference between 500 horsepower in a normal car and 500 horsepower in a Bentley is the torque. And that torque is significant. And when I say significant, from 1500 RPM, this pulls like a freight train. I just got out of my Bronco, which I know is apples to oranges or apples to what have you. But my Bronco at 1500 RPM couldn't pull the skin off of a rice pudding. This car from 1500 RPM feels like it has pretty much full beans. And of course, that's how they tuned it. We have a wonderful automatic gearbox, navigation, Bluetooth, heated and cooled seats, all of the amenities you'd expect from a Bentley. As I'm driving it, I've realized that it's kind of a jack of all trades. Not only do you have the convertible top, so that's nice in the summertime, but it has all-wheel drive, so if you're a maniac and you want to drive it in the winter, you may do. Or if you get in a hairy situation where you're parking somewhere, you're on wet grass, which has happened to me before in a rear-wheel drive car, you have the traction to get out of sticky situations. Also, as I was mentioned, we're here in New England. The weather isn't always so great as it is today. And in the rain and around corners on the highway, if you're doing some spirited driving, it's always nice to have the all-wheel drive looking after you. Now, like I said, I've been driving this for a few hours. Everything on this car, as you'd expect, feels so premium, I can't express it in words because I just don't know if I have the vocabulary. Everything thuds and clicks with the precision in the like a Swiss watch. The dials are beautiful. Of course, I said Swiss watch. It has a Breitling clock here in the center of the console. I'm just having the best time with it. I've driven a lot of neat cars in the past, and I think this might be the most difficult one to give back. I will say, the spec on this car, now this is a 2016. If you told me this was brand new, I mean, I don't know if I'd be able to tell the difference. There are no scuffs on the bolsters. There are no marks on the steering wheel from rings or anything. I don't know who babied this car, but they took a very, very, very nice care of it. If you watch the show, we have something called Jordo Spec, which I know some people might think is boring, but I love black cars. But on a Bentley, I think white really does the trick. Now, the exterior of this vehicle, white with the silver wheels. I know black wheels are a big thing, but I think the silver wheels are a little more Bentley-esque from Crew. The interior on this vehicle is beautiful and unique. We have everything you touch is either leather, metal, or some kind of premium material. The seats are supremely comfortable, obviously, but everything you touch, even the indicator stalk, even the button to press OK on the steering wheel, it goes da-dunk as opposed to click, which in a lot of like really expensive cars, you don't really get. A lot of things are clicky and kind of cheap feeling. Everything I touch in this, including the steering wheel, the shifter, just the way the car goes into reverse and drive, it just goes da-dunk. And I know it's a little cliche, but it is a very bolt action rifle type mechanism when you put this vehicle in drive, even though it's not a manual transmission. However, if you do want to punch it up a bit, this does have, of course, sport mode. Bentleys, if you look back, are known for their speed records back in the 30s. Think of the Blue Train, check it out on YouTube. I just really like these. Now, if you want to melt some miles and do a cross-country drive or just go out for an evening, I don't think there's a better car than a Bentley. And I don't know if anybody does a better interior than Bentley. I mean, there's Rolls-Royce, but they're different. They're very soft and plushy. And not that this isn't, but this also has a lot of sportiness to it. I really like, I'm driving on the back roads right now, and the steering is super precise. And for a car this heavy and this wide, it's extremely easy to place on the road. And as I go through these crests and corners, I'm only going the speed limit, obviously, but it really does breathe with the road, and it just makes the driving experience really pleasurable. It's got a killer stereo if you want to put that on, but today we're going no stereo, hitting the back roads of Newport in this beautiful Bentley. Now, I want to thank Priority Premium at Hyundai of Newport for letting me drive this vehicle. I'm totally in love with it. I've driven a few Bentleys before, but they were older models, and they're lovely as well. But this 2016, it has all the modern amenities that you'd want, the comfort, and there's nothing in this car that would look dated. Not the infotainment, not the interior. It drives great. You got to check it out. 21,000 miles on this vehicle. A brand new one is $250,000, and I've sat in the new one. I can't say that I've driven it, but I can't imagine it's worth over $100,000 more than this one. And with this beautiful spec, I think you'd probably be the only person with it. So check it out at Priority Premium at Hyundai of Newport on West Main Road in Middletown, Rhode Island.
For over 100 years, MRT Jewelers has been the #1 destination for couples looking to tie the knot. Hello, I'm Dave Audette. And yes, Rhode Island's largest wedding band sales event is back, and we call it the Blitz. This is a 4-day-only event this March 30th through April 2nd at our flagship location in East Providence. Appointments are recommended, so visit mrtjewelers.com and secure your chance to save thousands. MRT Jewelers, wedding bands, diamonds, and so much more.
New Kias are hard to find, but Kia of Attleboro has over 220 available with special leasing like the 2023 Kia Sportage LX Hybrid for just $339 a month. The 23 Sportage LX Hybrid gets an impressive 44 highway MPG. At Kia of Attleboro, get double the factory warranty. Exit 2B off 95, South Attleboro, Mass, KiaofAttleboro.com.
See ya at Kia of Attleboro.
Hi, I'm Laura Bourbon. I'm from the Dan Cosgrove Animal Shelter in Branford, Connecticut, and Subaru came today to come through and see our new wonderful building after they donated us an amazing vehicle.
So Laura, a couple of years ago, you sat in my office and you told me about, as you were rescuing pets and animals and all that, how you always got the hand-me-down cars from the town of Branford. It's just kind of one of those things.
Yep.
And it really resonated with us because of what you do and what the shelter has done and all the pets that you save and the amazing stories that come out of here. So on behalf of the Premier Subaru team, we want you to go from worst to first to the nicest cars in the fleet in the town of Branford, and we're happy to present to you this Subaru Ascent.
Thank you so much. Yeah, really appreciated all of your time. You've always been so generous to sit down with me and talk about the needs of the shelter and always being there to be supportive. So we're so grateful to you. And this is going to help us for many, many years, just because you do know we go out in the snow and everything else.
Yeah.
And so these are the type of vehicles we always needed. So we're so grateful to you.
Yeah, well, we're grateful to you too. So
Thank you.
here's your keys to your
Thank
new
you so
Ascent.
much.
Everybody, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
If this is a push button.
Yep, just you gotta press the button. There you go.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, right.
Hello everybody and welcome back to the Configurator. I've mentioned before, I spend a lot of time online configuring cars, and for this month's segment, we're going to do something that I think, at least for me, is probably your best bang for buck, low running cost, kind of do everything vehicle out there. I have a friend who just bought one of these, and I was pleasantly surprised by not only the build quality, but how it rode and how spacious it was. So without further ado, today we're going to build a RAV4 hybrid. Let's get started. So just to give you an idea about the RAV4, obviously it's been around forever. Toyota reliability, you have the hatchback, so you can put bikes in there, kids, dogs, everything. The new hybrid version, 41 miles per gallon city, 38 highway, 219 combined horsepower with an eCVT transmission. It just kind of all around does everything. Would a Corolla be a little better on fuel, possibly a Prius? Sure. But if you need utility and you have something that can hit some potholes, can bring you camping, can bring your gear with you, kids, dogs, like everything I mentioned, I think it's just a really great choice for somebody with an active lifestyle. So let's start right here on the configurator. So as usual, we start here with packages. It comes in many different packages, but I want to go for something that I think is best bang for the buck today. So the Hybrid LE is the base model. We have the XLE, which is one step up from that, the SE, the XLE Premium, and then of course we have our XSE, Hybrid Limited, and Woodland Edition. Oh my God, if you need a RAV4, they make them all in any kind you want. With leather seats, wheels, all kinds of things. But if, like I said, bang for buck, I think the XLE is a great choice. So those start at about $32,000. Like I said, they're all-wheel drive, automatic transmission, hybrid, 41 miles per gallon. So let's go up here. There we go. Let's move on to the next step. 2.5 liter eCVT. Let's go for colors. Now, as I've mentioned in the past, I'm a sucker for black vehicles. Yes, they're a little bit of a pain to keep clean, but when they're shiny, they're very shiny. And I like that a lot. So I'm going to go for black here. We've got some ash fabric, but I am going to move to black fabric. And I actually prefer a cloth seat. A lot of people like leather. Obviously, if you're in something nice like a Bentley or something really fancy, leather's great. But when you're getting in and out of the car, and especially here in New England, it gets really cold, really hot sometimes in the same day. I kind of like a cloth seat, so I'm going to pick the cloth here, going with black fabric. We've got the interior right here, easy for me to say. Plenty of room, split folding rear seats. Yeah, I was in this the other day, and my friend's other half is quite tall, and I was sitting behind him, and I had plenty of legroom, which I was surprised in a RAV4. Classically, it had been a smaller vehicle, but they've gotten a lot bigger in size. So let's go here. So we've got colors. Let's move on to packages. So there's a couple of different packages you can get. There's the weather package, the convenience package, but I think the one you should go with is both, and I'll tell you why. It kind of gets you a lot of things from the upper level model, and you don't really have to pay as much. So this comes with a height adjustable power liftgate, which means if you have a garage and you lift the power liftgate up, you can adjust it so it doesn't go all the way up and bump into something. It also has jam protection, obviously. If you're jamming it into things, it'll stop and it won't kill the motor. This gives you the power tilt slide sunroof, easy for me to say, and it gives you heated leather trim steering wheel, heated front seats, even though they're cloth, which I love, rain sensing wipers, and a de-icer function. So we're gonna add that sucker. Now we're moving on to accessories. Now there are literally a bazillion accessories, maybe not a bazillion, but there are many, that you can get with this vehicle, both from Toyota and from the aftermarket. But there are a couple of them I think you should check off if this is a vehicle that kind of suits your needs. For me, I'm always throwing things in and out of my car, so I would get the all-weather liner package. That's only $300, which is probably cheaper than it would be to buy aftermarket. Blackout emblems. Cargo Net Spider is something that I really like because I don't have it in my vehicle and things are constantly sliding around the back of it. So we're gonna pop that in there. Door edge guards, door sill protectors I like. If you're getting in and out of the car, you'll notice sometimes there are scuff marks. Ask me how I know, my new car. So we're gonna get those. I don't have those on mine, I wish I had. And since once in a while I'm out camping and away with friends and I have accident-prone friends, I think an emergency assistance kit is always a great accessory to have in your car. Now, like I said, there are many more accessories that you can see here online, but those are the ones that I would choose for myself. So, for down here, go to summary. We've got Midnight Black Metallic, Black Fabric. We have the XLE Convenience Package. Everything that I just mentioned, $35,961. Now, I don't know if there's something else that would give you that amount of equipment for that amount of money for something that you'd want to do with this kind of vehicle. So, all right, everybody, here's our RAV4. This is what $35,000 of RAV4 looks like with all the accessories that I would suggest on it. It's obviously redesigned. It's a smart-looking vehicle. We have body cladding around here, so we don't have to worry about rock chips. We have plenty of room for potholes going off-road, some light off-roading. We went with the black interior. We have our steering wheel mounted controls, cruise control, all your goodies, your screen with Apple CarPlay, and of course dual zone climate control and your heated seats. Now if you agree with me and you think this is a vehicle for you and this is how you would option it, or if you'd like to get some slightly different options based on your lifestyle, definitely check one of these out at Toyota of Dartmouth and they'll be able to help you out. Thanks for watching the Auto Show. See you next time.